Hey, what's up, everybody? How you doing? Yeah, so I'm gonna do a quick video. Okay, maybe quick, maybe not quick. I don't know. So yes, been writing books. Okay, writing the books. I've got 3 books written, great, published, awesome, done. But I've been doing a lot of beta reading and ghost writing. So how can I say this? When you're beta reading somebody's book, okay, that's a little different than ghost writing. So when you're ghost writing, I've found that there's a little secret that I've kind of formulated, after reading book after book after book after book. So I'm just gonna show you guys my little trick that I've been doing to make my plot structure easier. So let's do that. Alright, how's everybody doing? It's me, Johnny. And I'm about to pour you a mega point of madness. Okay, yeah, anyways, here we go with the video. I'm on OBS, okay, so things might be a little laggy. You might hear my voice first, and then my wacko body movements a little bit later. So, yeah, I'm an author. I've written 3 books so far. I've ghost written 3 as well, and that's 6, so with that being said, the first book I wrote took about like a year to write. Interesting. I was an off the cuffer, which is I call that. Somebody that just kind of writes, I'm more of a left brain person. So today I'm going to show you guys something that has made my writing just so much better. And on top of that, made it a lot faster without sacrificing the quality. Unlike this camera, which is driving me nuts. Anyways, so how can we do this? Yeah, like I said, my first book took a little over a year to write. That's called the Yamikage. Wonderful. So beautiful. Amazing. Now, this is pretty interesting because I'm working on the sequel, right? But since then, I've been able to write 2 different books. And I'm still not even done with that sequel. And this is how I did it. This is how I start ghostwriting and being able to do it within, the Fiverr little deadline and whatnot. So, yeah, let's just dive into this, okay? Now, I've read like a bajillion books about plot structure. 20 Master Plots is a good one. 10 Days to Faster Reading could help you, kind of just sift through what you're reading. No Plot, No Problems, good one. There's a bunch of really good books out there. But anyways, so this whole little technique, I'm going to call this more of a technique. Okay, so this technique is based off this little chart you're seeing on the screen here. And let me let you know that this doesn't work for everybody. It's not going to work for everybody. But it definitely works for me. And that's what I'm going to kind of let you guys know. Hopefully this helps. If anybody's watching this for stuff. Let me get my cursor. Okay. So we got the basic plot structure here. Okay. And you'll see this in most of stories in general. It's got the basic bare bones. Actually, this little chart is a little bit more just a little bit more in depth than what you usually see. You got the exposition, which is kind of how the book opens up. Usually at the same time of movies, you could compare it to like that opening vista. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that open. So, and then you got your introduction, then you have the inciting incident, which actually kicks off the novel. That's like kind of the major event that'll get things going. So if you're doing the hero's journey, you'll see like, hey, I got to do this now, Now we got the rising action. Okay, so my little technique plays off this, okay, but at the same time, it goes a little bit more in depth, a little bit different. So this is my up my sleeve type thing. And of course, we got the climax. Then we got the falling action, and of course, the resolution. That's the ending shot. That is when things wrap up. Okay, that whole process. So, how can we do this? Let me just show you. I'll show you the actual technique, the actual plotting. Okay, then I'll show you how I applied it. Okay, so a lot of this is just common sense. So, with that being said, I just kind of looked it up, like I broke it down, average chapter count, average word count in novels, so, and average word count per genre, all that stuff. So let's move down here, okay, don't worry. So, here we go. Then we got this little plot structure thing. I'm a planner, you know what I mean? Because I'm from the music world, so like in the music world, we follow a very strict, not strict, but we follow structures here. And I compare writing to music. That's just how I am. Anyways, so let's see what we got going on here. So the number one first thing I got here is a prologue. Why? Because, you know, prologue is optional. Okay, not everybody wants a prologue. It usually sets a precedent to before what happens in the story. One thing I do like to get in there is that exposition. Okay, it's that, like I said, opening vista, that opening scene. Usually that first paragraph, that first sentence, that first chapter, even the prologue, is a huge important thing. It's muy importante. So you gotta just fucking fix it, okay? You gotta be good. So introduction, okay, number one, chapter one, introduction. So, you know, an introduction is very important. This is where we're getting the characters together. We're introducing the personality of the main. We're doing all types of different stuff. Maybe even getting some supporting characters in there. So what we see here is three little letters. Okay, I don't know if you guys can count. It's A, B, and C. Okay, so what are these representing? These are basically representing three major events, plot moving events. Okay, not just it's plot moving events. So I love to know where I'm going. That's just me. Sometimes I've written my first book just going off the cuff. So this, in my opinion, makes everything so much easier because you've got three goals you're trying to meet. And I'm a big fan of goal-oriented writing. You know, that's what I really love. Goals is amazing. So let's start with the introduction. So let's say Bobby Brown, you know, he's got stuff to do now. So he's got to go to school. So we got A, B, C. So A, he could be like, okay, Mom, I'm going to school. B could be like, I'm getting on the bus. C, you know, on the bus, he's meeting all his friends and whatnot. And then C, he's arriving at the school for his first day at school. And now the number chapter 2, I would probably write in for Mr. Bobby Brown that, okay, you know, he's got more supporting characters coming in. Maybe he sees the bully, okay? we're deciding incident is bringing in the antagonist, okay? You don't have to do that, but maybe Bobby could have an antagonist here. And he steals his lunch money, and then the story is he's got to get his lunch money back. So chapter 2, I usually reserve, and maybe not an entire chapter, but the goal of that second chapter to me is to really get that inciting incident. I want to put a major focus on that. So there, as you can see, 3 components to that, A, B, C. Now, the rising action initiated. This is where things get a little more fun. Okay. Oh my goodness. So it's basically the same deal. You know, rising action, we're going towards that goal. We're going towards the climax. We're going in that direction. So I've broken it down this way. So let's say chapter 3 is, you know, that's where the rising action begins. Okay. That's where things start going. And now I'm breaking things down just a little more in depth. So chapter 4 is the Act 1 rise. So I'm kind of almost structuring this like a play a little bit, where there's Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act a billion. Okay. Yeah, you definitely want your casts to like kind of solidify and move accordingly to where you are. Everything's got a purpose. That's what I'm a big fan of too. Writing with purpose. So the Act 1, chapter 4 is a rise. We're going to move to the Act 1 peak. So in general, we got the main climax of the movie, but it's like the peaks of the acts, you know, they kind of move the plot forward in a big way. Those are like the major big events. They're almost like mini climaxes. They're like the climax of the acts. The climax. Dude, I'm copywriting that. The climax. Anyways, yeah. So chapter 4 is reserved for the Act 1 rise. Chapter 5 is reserved for the Act 1 peak. Okay, now moving forward, the story's going to look a little bit different now that we're in Act 2. So I use Act 2 as the intensification. This is where the stakes are getting raised higher. This is where things are really, you know, just pumping up. Things are really just, you know, doing the best, you know, doing pretty good. Now, as you can see, it looks like Act 2 is a little bit shorter. I like moving into Act 3 really fast because here's as you can see, Chapter 7, Chapter 8, Chapter 9. I really like to focus on the climax. So with that Act 2, we're just intensifying the novel. But then what we're doing with Chapter 7, if you could see right here, is what's called a reprieve. And that's kind of like a little bit of the formula of the climax. You go with reprieve, then it's the final resistance, and then it's the climax. So, like, let's say, you know, Bobby Brown has to slay the dragon. You know, we got the dragons, yeah. So he shows up at the dragon's lair, reprieve. You know, he's getting his things in order. Oh my goodness, what happens if I lose? Maybe he's doubting himself. Maybe the supporting characters are helping him up. Or maybe, you know, things are just about to heat up. You know, things are about to go down. If you're waiting for a fight, you're going to box somebody. You know, we're waiting here in the reprieve for them to show up. So Chapter 8, this is kind of like putting the events of the climax into motion a little bit. We're like right there. And if you could refer back to that chart, there's actually a little jagged thing there, I think. Anyways, yeah, so the final resistance is like, the fight is intensifying, yes, true. But, you're on your last legs. Maybe Bobby is fighting the dragon's like about to shoot fire. He's like, oh, you know what I mean? And then he like ends up slaying him. Okay, that's good. That's going to be the climax. So during the final resistance, it's like the antagonist is really giving, on his last legs, really giving that main character some, big problems, eh? And then climax. Okay, so a little bit different with the climax. There are 5 major events. This is just how I do it, I guess you could say C right there is the actual climax. But we got some events revolving here. And if you read the book 20 Master Plots, you'll see that they have what's called a turning point or an escape. So the turning point and escape is that event that's directly after the climax, like right after it. Like, okay, you slay the dragon, and like now the house, the lair is crashing down on him, and the thing is fucking dying, and then he's like, I gotta get out of here. So him and his buddies, they run away. So that would be D and E, kind of like the turning point escape. But yeah, likewise that A and B right there would be like kind of really moving into that climax. Maybe, he stabs the dragon, he's bleeding out, and then the dragon's like, oh, dude, I'm not a bad guy. I was just trying to steal your lunch, but I don't know. Anyways, yeah, so A and B is like kind of like the real last legs before the climax. And then, so now we're on chapter 10. Okay, here you go, bada bing, bada boom. You're welcome. This is a whole fucking book. Maybe if you got your masterwork in the works, you want to maybe kind of do things. But if you're trying to, be a ghostwriter, or if you're trying to, make just a book or an idea, this is a good idea. Every author's got like a bunch of ideas up their sleeve. This is a good, what's the word here? This is a good little plot structure, formula, technique thing to really get them down pretty fast. Like this is how you could take an idea as an author, one of those like, sitting on the back of the laptops. You could take it with this fucking thing and you can get it done, bada bing, bada boom. Like a novel qualifies as 50,000 words. You write 250 words a day, pump it up to 1,000, then pump that up to 2,500, really get it moving. I feel like it's a lot faster, a lot easier to write to when you're, what's the word here? When you got clear goals, when you know exactly, there's not chaff, you're not writing in nonsense. You're writing in, okay, I got to get to point A, I got to get to point B, I got to get to point C. So everything's moving with purpose. Everything is goal-oriented. So now we got the falling action. That's where, we're going to show the falling actions to show how the world is going to look after the events of the climax. Maybe Bobby Brown. He's finally got his lunch money back. He's happy with his friends, and he won the love of his life after, Maybe it turns out the supporting character is his love. This is where the falling action is about to happen. And, every single genre has got their own little formulae with an E. It's all types of climaxes, like obviously a mystery. They solve the mystery. Obviously the romance is a romance. That's when they get the romance. And then, as you see, chapter 11 is the exposition. Okay, so... what the... I wrote this wrong. The exposition is what opens up the novel. What is this? It's supposed to be the epilogue. That's what it... Not the exposition, the epilogue. I wrote it weird. So just pretend chapter 11's epilogue, and then pretend where it says 12 is resolution. So... the epilogue is really just the last thing of the novel. Like baby Bobby Brown... slay the dragon. He's got the dragon's head, and it's on his bike now. I'm just going off the dome here. And then the resolution. Okay, that's like, I see an entire chapter here. Okay, you could write this out a lot, but the resolution truly is just that ending vista. It's like that ending shot. Maybe him and his friends are riding their bike into the distance. Maybe there's like an ending, like this is popular in movies where they have like an ending narration. You see that, in Star Wars, they have a good exposition, but their resolutions are often they're cut. They're cut. They're really cut. They're ba-bing, ba-boom. So yeah, that's a little something right there. This is how I'm able to write books, bada bing, bada boom. So like you might be maybe authors can be very cocky. I noticed that. I'm a musician, but I that makes writing so easy. I don't know why. But I guess you could take my little slice of pie there and prove it to yourself. Now, like I said, authors could be kind of cocky. They might be like, hey, dude, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? But anyways, yeah. So that's what this is. It's a plot structure formula that really helps me big time in my writing. You know, like I said, I'm a big fan of goal-oriented writing. You can check out all 3 of my books currently out. I've got like 1 million books. This is giving me the confidence to be able to take those ideas that I just are just sitting in a corner and making it happen. Like I said, I wrote 2 books in between the sequel, between my first book and my second book. So, yeah, at this point, I'm working on like 1 million different books. And it's easy because I could do like, let me put 15 minutes there, 15 minutes here. So, man, if y'all sticking around, I'll give you some little treats of my book, Not Every Star in the Night. So, Not Every Star in the Night is a horror movie. It's about aliens, and my what's the word here? My inspiration was like, okay, what if I took Saw, the movie Saw, and I put it in alien form, which is it's good. So I'm a horror author, but I'm also a fantasy author. My goal is to write 100 books and do every single genre. So this right here helps me because that's what I have with my goal in mind. Because yeah, you need plot structure, or else what are you? You know what I mean? Not a bestseller yet, but we're gonna get moving. So yeah. So this is the notes. This is what I had in my notes as I was writing the book. The book turned out a little bit different here because keep in mind, this is incredibly left-brained. But at the same time, when the right brain gets in there, when that creativity starts to mold in there, it's a whole new ballgame. You know, it really is. So this is just basically a skeleton. It's like writing music, like I said. You get your skeleton down, like, okay, I got the verse, I got the chorus, I got the pre-chorus, I got this. But then when you actually start playing it, you know, things turn out a little different. So this is my skeleton, and I played it a little bit different, but let's see what happens. So this came first before the novel was written. So I'm like, okay, let me get my fucking thing in order. Then I'm going to go. So number 1, chapter 1, introduction. So there's no prologue in this novel. Wait, no. There was a prologue in this novel. It's not in this little fucking thing. Anyway, so chapter 1 in the novel, we have the main character, Malcolm, introduced. The chapter's called Tears, because we find out that, you know, Malcolm, you see the letter A right there. Malcolm's a sad dude. He's been abused, you know, abused by his father. And now in B, we're giving a little bit more backstory, okay? So the exposition in this chapter 1 was, I think it was his father, like, beating him up and just really just bad things happening to him. And that's, you know, that's a good way to kind of approach horror, is take characters you really like and then make horrible things happen to them. You know what I mean? So then, as you see in this letter C, we got the B-rate characters, which is the support characters. The C, the friends are introduced. That's Malcolm and Jennifer. Jennifer and Jeremiah. So they're the best of friends. Now the inciting incident. This is where the story is like, okay, and now it's time to go. Now, it says religion discussion. So what that turned into was like a deep, you know, heart-to-heart between the friends. And then, you know, they're comforting him. And then they see this article on Facebook. They see this article on social media. And they're like, oh, dude, you know, there's a UFO. We found, you know, there's an article and it says the UFO is in town. You know, people saw it. And then, you know, Malcolm's like, dude, you know, like, let's go fucking find it. Inciting incident. Boom, boom. Okay. Now, the rising action initiated. So now they're about to go, you know, we got clear goals now. They're going to go find the aliens. So they go to the cornfield and they don't find nothing. They're like, whatever, why did we even do this? But the aliens actually see them. See, that's another thing about fiction, too, is you want to defy expectations. You want to take reader expectations. You want to throw them out the window and then fish them back. It's like putting a $100 bill and then, you know, kind of rolling the thing. Anyways, yeah, so the aliens actually see the friends, and they're like, oh, nothing happened. So the act 1 rise. Okay, so defying reader expectations. Now, this is kind of crazy because they go home, and then here's how the act 1 is rising. They are basically freaking out because they start having nightmares. They start having like these weird things happening to them. And this novel takes place really, it's actually time construed. It's really weird. So like in the first part of the novel, it's like takes place within a week. And then the next part of the novel takes place within like aeons. Like literally, I'll explain it. Anyways, yeah. So, Robo Goons. Anyways, yeah. So, okay, you know, the rising Act 1 rise, things are going down. And then they're like, dude, we gotta figure this out. like we gotta like like this is some crazy shit. So the characters meet back up, and they're like, well, let's go back to the cornfield because in horror they always gotta go back to the crazy thing. So this one's pretty interesting. This one is not filled out, but obviously the book is written, so I did fill this out. This is another region where that right brain can come in. So Act 1 peak, something bad's going to happen. Another bad thing is going to happen that's probably worse. And then the worst thing is going to happen to cut off the thing. Buy the book and you'll see what fucking happened. And it is fucked up. I actually don't want to say too much about this because this book is really scary. Like, it's not, it was literally, I don't know, like people are like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Anyways, what am I doing here? So yeah, Act 2. Okay, so they're in the spaceship. That's part of the chapter 5 is they're in the spaceship. They're getting experimented on in horrible ways. So they actually, Act 2 intensification, they actually escape from the aliens. They're like, all right, fuck you guys. They're running in the UFO. And they have this little moment where it's coming up with the reprieve. They're like, okay, dude, we're fucked. They're saying, I love you, all that. And, they're really discussing backstory. And that's another thing too, is like in the Act 2, there's a lot of room for revealing secrets about their backstory, which is something I love doing. That's why Act 2 is short here, but it has a lot of purpose. So don't underestimate Act 2. So the reprieve, okay. Now this is a little different. So in the reprieve, the aliens are actually able to talk to Malcolm. They're talking to him telepathically. He's waking. I was like, oh my goodness, what's going on? Yeah, so this is, man, I don't want to give away the climax, but I gotta do it for the video. Anyways, what are you gonna do? Please read the book. I'm not begging here, but it's a fucking fantastic story. It really is. It's kind of weird because the way I talk and the way I write, I write like a PhD or maybe a professor, but then I talk like I don't know. Anyways, yeah, so what do we got? Act 2 intensification. The reprieve is like, okay, aliens are explaining why they're doing this to the people. And they're doing horrible things to people, horrible experiments. And there's actually a second premise, and that comes in a little bit at the end. It's really just right there. So in the final resistance, okay, so Malcolm is now just a skeleton. He's like, his head, it's only his head, but it's like a spine. He's a fish. You know what I mean? He's like the alien equivalent of a goldfish. Like he's like being kept alive on like tubes and like all that. So he's just basically this fucking fucked up, what's the word here? I don't know, like a fucked up fucking goldfish, But anyways, he's still tangent. He's still alive in this state. And then he's, as you see in the climax, it's the complete neurosis. It's a complete neurosis. This is where Malcolm is totally broken down and said, I don't care if I die. You know what I mean? At this point, it's like just, I don't even care anymore. He's done. Like that's the climax is when he just figured out that I just kill me. And here's the evil thing about these aliens is they're not going to do it. They keep him alive and they know that he's, that he's bad. Okay, so this is pretty interesting too, because in the climax, the turning point, the supporting characters die. So that's something else that directly happens at the climax. It's pretty interesting, because that intensifies things as well. So now, remember, the point of the falling action is to show how the world is gonna look forward after the events of the climax. They die. God forgives the main. We're doing some religion in there, just get some world building in there. Using Christianity is the number one. In here, there's no fantasized religion here that I made up. Falling action is now he's just dealing with the trauma and the loathing, and there's a lot of really good dialogue. This is really underestimating the book, but so he actually in the falling action decides it's better than his life before as a human. He likes it more in the fish tank bowl because he doesn't have to deal with his father beating him up, all this horrible trauma. He doesn't deal with it anymore. Now he's just like, I'm gonna be the pet of an alien. So, and here we go with the falling action. It turns out that he's gonna die. And then the narrator, yeah, okay, it's funny because in the epilogue it reveals, because this is in first person, but it breaks into third person omniscient. which is pretty interesting. But I do that with purpose. It's not accidental. I do those in very specific ways for specific purposes. So at the end, the first person comes back, just the way the book started, and it turns out the narrator is actually one of the aliens, which is pretty sick. Yeah. So Malcolm ends up dying. You know, he dies, and then he has his little revelations there. Okay. So yeah, I think the ending was like his spirit flying away into the depths of space in the afterlife to find his friends. I don't know. Read the book. It's called Not Every Star in the Night, which is fucking. It's the book of dreams, literally. And here's another thing too. Bright Dreadful Sun. This book is not monumental in word count. Like if you guys see it, it's a short story pretty much. But using this formula, I was able to bust it out lickety split. So yeah, Not Every Star in the Night is way different. Believe it or not, this is only 50,000 words. I really wanted to hit that bare minimum. And then you see how nice it is. You see how the cover is bobbing. You know, it's just ready to go. And the Yamikage is actually 90,000 words, but the spine calls it a little sooner. Anyways, yeah. So if you start using this particular thing, you know, don't forget who gave you the sauce. Yeah. So I'll start doing more writing in the YouTube videos. Subscribe and hit the thumbs up button. But you know how you do it. And yeah, like I said, this is not for everybody, but in my opinion, it definitely works for me. Especially this is kind of in a way where music is also you got your set points in music, you got your introduction, you got your verse, your second part of the verse, the pre-chorus, the chorus, and then the bridge. It's literally that same exact concept applied to writing. And I know a lot of people also already have their own little ways of doing this. Of course they do. This is my way that I'm sharing with you because, a lot of authors out there, especially because I beta read a lot. And when I'm beta reading for other people, I see so many plot holes all over the place. It's like a piece of cheese. And then, I'm kind of throwing this out there and they're like, oh, what the like, why didn't I do this? You know what I mean? A lot of authors take pride. Pride is not the best thing. They take pride in being able to go be a hairy, I call myself a hairy plotter, and I call them off the cuffers. I'm both, I guess. But anyways, regardless, some people take immense pride in just going. You know what I mean? That's good. Go ahead. But if it works, it works. But sometimes it doesn't work. I found that this works more often than not. Like just keep in mind you're goal oriented. You know what you're doing. So yeah, drop that subscribe, drop that like. I want to be more active on here. And I want you to succeed in life. And I want your books to really be out the park rock and roll. So I'll see you guys later. And hopefully the lag wasn't too bad, but what are you gonna do? Where am I? Where's my mouse? All right, peace.